What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Relatable and Obtainable podcast. This is a new season, second season, finally out. So excited to be here with you guys. And we have an amazing segment today because we are going to be discussing something that is very powerful, that is very much needed, that is very much a superpower, if you will, to maintain a relationship. So, my name is Carlos. This is Amanda. If you guys don't know us yet, and we have achieved and unlocked the superpower. So we have some type of say in, what we're going to talk about. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this video today.
Let's do it.
That was a good intro.
Huh? That was a good intro.
Sweet. So, how was? I like your top. It's really nice. Where's it from?
This is from Zara. I just got it. It's so cute. I saw it in the new collection. I was like, dude. Every now and then Zara just comes out with something that just looks so sick and it feels really cool. And I'm just like, this is like a perfect beach thing.
It is. It's really nice. Yeah. That's sweet. We kind of match.
It's a cute little knit top and short set, and the shorts are cut really cute. And so your little butt cheeks show at the back.
Yeah.
Well, mine do because my butt's ginormous.
Yeah.
But no, but it's cute. Like I feel like I don't think I would wear the shorts out unless I was at a beach or at a pool because my cheeks show.
Yeah.
My cheekies show. But if you have a little booty, then they won't. But I don't.
Yeah, I'm wearing Reclass, guys. Nice capsule collection put together by your boy. This is part of it. So
like it's so good.
So nice. It's so good. So if you guys are interested in fashion, by Carlos Roberto, Touch the Mood, tagging, go do your thing.
Tagging.
So how was your week? How was your week today?
Okay, so this week has been kind of weird, no? Actually, it's been fine, but like I feel like I've had a little less patience than normal. Like with like the day-to-day stuff, you know? Like I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed easy. And I don't really know why that is.
Yeah. But
like, okay, so our son's like going through maybe a sleep regression. I don't even know if it would be considered a sleep regression at this point, but like sleep has been on and off challenging for the last several weeks with him. And so like he's like fighting naps, or it's taking a really long time to get him down.
Yeah.
And a lot of times if he skips a nap or something like that, or it kind of just messes him up for the day, and he's more clingy and just more needy than normal. And I mean, anyone who knows, like a toddler,
yeah,
like, they obviously need your love, attention, affection, like 24/7, obviously, which is fine. But I feel like I've just been, like he loves me to hold him, and he like is super like clingy on me, and I normally love that. But like, I feel like this week I've just been like getting touched out in a way, just like I need my space. I need a minute to breathe.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
But other than that, it's been good. How about you?
Well, luckily I've been out this week, mainly working, so I haven't really felt the pressure. I kind of have, I felt less patient for sure, but I think last week.
Yeah, I feel like yesterday when I came home, I went to go work out in the morning, and then I came home, and so I was gone for like a couple hours. And I came home, and you seemed like you seemed dysregulated. Like you seemed not happy.
Yeah, for some reason I don't know what happened. I just got like I had good things happening yesterday too. So I just feel like I think I was just trying to like get ready and go do that, and then I think I just caught on someone else's energy for a little bit. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I feel you.
So my week was really nice, and I feel like I was. I feel like this week was really cool. I feel like this week was, I felt like a shift somehow. I felt like I was kind of being more aware of my moments in time. I have a lot of fun things happening in terms of business relationships, business-wise. And I just feel like, I was just more of like just being more patient. I think I was being aware of like what it means to be successful, being patient, seeing why things didn't work out in the past in terms of my ability to like scale and do things, you know. So
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of it has to do with being impatient and trying to really force something to get results within a matter of weeks. And a lot of times when you get those results, we don't know what to do with them. So just respecting the process and just being like aware that like this next phase of my life is going to be different in that aspect. So respecting the process more,
Like trusting it, like
the
trusting
process,
that
trusting
things
the
happen.
moment. Yeah, and being more aware of the time that I have free. Just being like, not everything has to revolve around work. Not everything has to happen tomorrow, and just realizing that the universe always works with you. So I feel like that's one of the things that I'm kind of like just developing right now, that type of skill, and being more balanced life, and less eager and hungry all the time to get results, because sometimes you overlook things.
Yeah, totally. I feel like that's like a kind of like an endless journey, because I feel like, don't you ever feel like sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm getting more in like attuned to the like ebbs and flows of life, and having more acceptance around that there's going to be like lows and highs, and
Yeah.
and there's going to be like stagnant periods where there's not a lot of growth, and there's going to be like periods where there's a lot of growth, and like I feel like sometimes, I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like sometimes I feel like really like, yeah, like I get it, and like I'm totally accepting of that, and then somehow like I feel super enlightened one day, and then I don't know, the next day you're just like, I'm back in this stupid small mind, It's like this kind of like ever flowing, like realizing the thing and getting a lot of acceptance around that, and then somehow like taking steps backwards, but then like always further along, but then sometimes there's these little
like going back. Yeah, I feel like that's what I'm trying to listen to, like that moment where I'm like, because it kind of happened this week too, where I was like, dude, like I have things going, and then like something happens, but then you're like, there has to be something that needs to be learned in that moment, and I think that's why the time is there for you to learn. And sometimes you get stressed out, and you're like, this isn't fair. Why am I feeling like I'm going back? But I think there's something, the most important part to be learned is at that point. Because when you're high, when you're up, obviously nothing matters. You could go through anything, especially with your mental fortitude at that moment. You're probably like, I could get through anything. But when that moment of weakness kind of happens, I feel like there has to be something that's going to be learned. And that's the perspective I'm trying to change as well. Because like, even for holidays, like remember I used to have ticks in my eyes. I never twitched. Never had ticks in my eyes until the holidays when I stopped to work, because I was like super eager about stressing that I had to be doing something. So I'm like,
it was like you couldn't relax and just trust that
things were gonna
pick up.
Yeah. So, or scared to lose it. So now it's just kind of like, now it's like just learning that, and then also, like I said, learning from mistakes in the past, and just taking things slow. Nothing has to happen tomorrow. Everything doesn't have to happen tomorrow or today.
Yeah.
I was just kind of thinking, like, it's almost like when you are super excited to meet someone, and let's say you have your eye on a girl for a long time, and then you're like pondering on how you're gonna approach the girl, and then once you finally approach the girl and she says yes, I'll go on a date with you, then you're like, all right, where am I gonna take this girl? How am I gonna handle this? So I feel like that pressure is just always gonna be there, with whatever you do in life. Like, okay, I got it. Now what?
Oh yeah.
So you have to like
that's the thing about it, is where like there's not ever going to be a moment that you have everything figured out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's just no such thing. Otherwise, I don't think we'd be here anymore, right? Like in this like plane of existence.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about motherhood, like, and parenthood. I don't know if you agree with this too. It's just like, I kind of feel the same way, where it's like this constant struggle of like, I feel like when I'm struggling the most is usually when I feel like I need to be somewhere else or be doing something else. Like there's something that's pulling me, and then my patience becomes smaller, or like I just feel like I can't really be present for our son or something like that. Like that's usually when I find I'm having the hardest time, and this season of our life is very focused around our small child. And so there's a lot of that where like there's days where I feel really much like my career will take off, like, and I will achieve all of the things I want to achieve. It just doesn't have to happen right this second. Like this second of my life, this season of my life is about my son. and that is fleeting. Like that is not always going to be the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I think sometimes I try to remind myself when I'm really struggling because I want to be further in my career, or I want to be, you know what I mean? Like I'm like focusing on this thing that is outside of my current existence so much, and then I'm like, no, dude, like I should be super appreciating where I'm at right now, and I don't have to. Why? What is the constant hurry?
Yeah.
Like, why are we constantly running towards something like that, as if we don't have time to do it later? You know, like there's. In some ways, I feel like life is short, and in other ways, I feel like there's a lot of time.
Life is as long as you want it to be, or short as it to be. I feel like it's the emphasis that you put on like your current present moment. You know, like because like when I was taking care of our son when he was a baby, I was literally not working as much as I was, but things just kind of happened, you know, and I just felt like back then I remember just how to remember that too. Like, dude, like this is the biggest block. Like in life, besides work, there's nothing better than being present with your child. Yeah. Like no brand deal can't even compare to like that moment. Yeah. So why, you know, and it's like those moments you're not going to get back. Like I could get the same, what's that dopamine hit from getting 2 brand deals, 3 brand deals, but you can never get the same thing with your son because he just keeps evolving and it's just not the same. Yeah. You know, it's not the same. A brand deal always feels the same, you know, like, but that's something you're never going to get back. So why trade? So, and that's what I think about now too. Like, you know, like that's what I'm saying. Like the moments that I have off, the moments that I feel like, man, I can't rush. I have things out of my control. I need the universe to handle it. Why try to rush it? Why impose? Why try to get in between the current state and where I need to be in the universe? Where whiskey.
I knew it was gonna happen. I saw her wrapping up. Hold on.
Whiskey. Bro, I swear this dog.
Look, there's kittens. We have a bunch of kittens in our backyard, and so they're playing right now.
They're babies.
They're so little. Cute. They're so cute. It just reminds me of spring so much. It's so sweet.
So anyways, so don't rush the process, guys. Just don't do it. Whatever it is, whatever you're doing, anything, just enjoy the time that you have off, man. Honestly, just enjoy the moments, and it'll happen.
Yeah, I think I think the hurry part is like the fear.
The hurry part
is
scarcity
too. Because there's a scarcity complex. Like there's not enough in the world, and if I don't hustle and compete, then I'm not gonna get my piece of the pie.
It's all noise.
And that is noise because there is enough in the world, and you know, even if it's not right now, doesn't mean it's never for you. You know,
no, exactly.
Like so. I feel like that's like the constant like pull.
Yeah.
And I realize that more and more is when I start to feel stressed or I start to feel anxious. It's because I'm just not present. I'm not present in the moment. I'm wanting to be somewhere I'm not. I'm thinking about something besides my present situation, and that is silly. You know, it is silly because one, tomorrow's not promised, so why not enjoy where you're at? And also, like, there is enough. There's always enough. You gotta have that abundance mindset, I guess. And I do think people think that that's stupid. You're either 2 camps of people. You're the people that are like, oh, that's woo-woo, and that's ridiculous. Yeah. And then there's the people that really believe that. And I would just say to the people that think that's woo-woo, is like, literally look at humanity. Look at the people who don't have a lot, and they're constantly blaming other people for that, or they're constantly negative, or they're constantly saying things like, I just think about like little things that were told to us as kids, like money doesn't grow on trees, or like these like things that just get implanted into your mind. Like people that strongly believe that stuff, like there's not enough. Yeah. Like they tend to be on this hamster wheel, and they don't achieve more than they believe is accessible, right? Like because they have this mindset. And then the people who are just kind of like delusional in a way, like delusional in the way of like, of course I deserve this, of course there's enough, of course I'm gonna get these things. Those are the people that do. Like it tends to happen that way. Like, yeah.
Well, it's just crazy, because I've had friends who work hard every single day. They get the stuff that they want, but also I've seen my friends who don't lift a finger and they just kind of like just trust. I guess it's trust the process. I don't know. And then things happen. So at the end of the day, like in life, you could always make it somewhere. It's just to where you want to make it to. It's just a different path for everyone, for all.
Well, it's
different
also
paths.
kind of like to your point. It's also like how much do I want to struggle on this path that I'm gonna get to anyway?
Exactly.
Like
yeah,
how
that's
much
what
do
I'm
I want
saying.
to
Still-
feel
yeah.
pain along the way, or
Yeah,
do
just
I want to
enjoy
enjoy it?
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
And also, preparation always meets opportunity. So just remember
So
that.
true.
So just remember that. So just remember that, like, even because like sometimes I think about brand deals, or sometimes I think about like the TV show that I want to be on, and it's like, bro, I would have not been prepared for that. That would have been dumb for me to be away.
Which one? At what point in your life? 'Cause
The
you
circle.
said-
The circle.
Oh, he wanted to be
Because
on the circle.
after my son was born, it was just kind of like, why, that those would have been the most beautiful times to be around him. And if I would have traded that for a TV show, I wouldn't be prepared. I wouldn't be present. I would be stressing. So it's always like, just remember that things
We
happen
talked
in time,
about
dude.
that type of thing too. Like I was feeling a little bit like, I don't know, envious or jealous about like certain people getting certain job opportunities that like, it's not that I didn't want them to get it, but it was just kind of
Why not
like
me?
thinking like, yeah, why not me? Like, why isn't this happening for me right this second? And then we talked about it and we're like, oh, because like, it's literally not for us
It's
right
impossible.
now.
It'd be
It's like
so hard.
we have a baby.
We would be
have
burning
a baby.
more money. We would spend
and, like,
all our budget that they
with
give
that-
us to
Yeah, like
pay
we
for-
have a baby and we're not gonna enjoy it in the same way. We're not gonna be able to be present in the same way, and it will be more stress on us. And it's literally like, again, it doesn't mean it's not gonna happen.
No,
It's
yeah.
just that it's like not for
It's
us
not
in this
time.
season
It's
of
not
our
time.
life.
Yeah.
Like I really do believe that, and I feel like I'm becoming more at peace with that and just really believing in the process of like, just don't stop. And I like what you said about that preparation. Wait, what did you say?
Preparation always meets opportunity.
Preparation means opportunity, because yeah, I think
That's
a lot of people think about like manifesting and stuff is all you have to do is think about shit and then make a vision board and then things just start happening for you. It's just total bullshit. Like that's definitely not how it works. It's like, yeah, you think about it, yeah, you set your intentions, but you also have to take action. Like action is the most important part of that. It's the belief that it can happen. So you're not saying to yourself like, oh, there's not enough in the world. It's impossible. It's very difficult. Like saying those things are limiting, right? So you don't want to believe those things. So I get like the affirmations or like writing things out or the vision boards help keep you in a positive mindset.
Yeah.
But you still have to take the steps. You still have to be doing things in your
Mhm.
life towards your goal.
Yeah, those are just reminders. Always, those are reminders of like the wake up in the morning. You look at your vision board, or you look at you say your affirmations, whatever. Those are reminders of like they should get you hyped up. And
I
then
think the
then
reason
you wake
it
up
works-
and do. You
I
have to
think
wake up and do.
The reason that works, because it keeps your mind in
Yeah,
a good
in a
place
zone, yeah.
where like you continue to go, because like I think we've talked about it before, but inevitably no matter what you're doing in life, you're going to hit roadblocks, you're going to have challenges, and most people just stop or they pivot or they give up when they start to feel those things. And trust me, I've felt those things.
Yeah.
And so like I know that feeling of being like, oh, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And that is not because I don't want to do it, it's because
You're
I'm
scared.
feeling uncomfortable. I'm feeling like challenged in a way that makes me feel scared.
And that's
It
when you
makes-
should go for it.
And that's when you have to keep going. You can't let that shit stop you.
Mhm.
Anyway, okay, so the nice motivational speech.
And that
What
is
else?
a perfect transition to commitment. Commitment. So I think we've seen a few things about commitment.
Yeah.
Someone asked, "What about commitment?" What was the question that they said? And we're like, "Oh, let's make this a topic."
Oh, I
because-
just asked on Instagram. I was just asking how people were feeling that day, and someone just put in their scared of commitment, and it just brought this up for me because I feel like this happens for a lot of people. Everybody, I think, at some point, or
Yeah.
most people, I think, at some point. It doesn't always have to be relating to romantic things. It
No,
could
it could
be
be business,
anything
the
in
same
life.
thing that we're just saying right
Like,
now. Like,
Being scared to commit to something, commitment is so fucking scary. You know, because committing to something means you have to hold yourself accountable and you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
And that's a really scary thing to think about for a multitude of things. And relationships is just one of them.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. I just like did a poll being like, how many people also feel this way, you know? And a lot of people were saying, yeah, they do feel that way. People want something, but they're afraid to commit to it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think about that in terms of relationships, specifically, you know? And I think it happens for a lot of reasons, you know, like,
Well, when it comes to relationships, I feel like commitment gives you the best results. Like staying committed to one person just genuinely gives you the better result than not, because then you realize that when you do give yourself and you do give yourself authentically and you're trying to like cultivate something, there's things that happen that come to realization about yourself, and then you're like, ah, perfect, this is cool, this is valuable. When you're not committed to something, you kind of wishy-washy about situations, right? So you just kind of get results that you don't really necessarily know if they could change you or motivate you at the end of the day. So I feel like commitment is important for that reason. I think, you know, like to know more about, to learn, to decode yourself and to be like, ah, okay, this is a eye-opening result that I had no idea or was aware about if I didn't stay committed. And that happens in business too. Anything, like anything commitment wise, like when you try something, you're usually going to get the more natural results that like
when you stay committed to something.
when you stay committed to something that you could use.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
When in your life, or do you have examples for you of like when you've been afraid of commitment? Like what has your relationship to commitment been like throughout your life?
Well, it depends. I mean, for business wise, I was always committed for sure. Like I think like if I had an idea, I would go for it full force until I don't know what happened, until I felt like it was out of my hands. Like, you know, sometimes you reach this place where you're like, this is just kind of like out of my hands. I don't know. Relationship wise, I feel like maybe I don't think I was afraid of committing. You know, like I don't think I was ever like afraid to be like, oh, I'm gonna like give myself to someone. I was probably just more distracted, to be honest with you. But commitment wise, for sure, I think that.
Well, you have said things like thinking about marriage or thinking about like the words forever or something like that really scare you. Like they bring up a lot for you. Like it's scary to think about that. Like you have said to me that it makes it for you, like it's hard for you to see the present moment, or maybe the present moment is challenging and it's hard for you to see that maybe not always going to be that way. And so when you use those words, it scares you, and that's a commitment thing.
Yeah,
right?
well, I think the only reason why because the people that I used to hear that mostly around were always people who were like, I've been with this person, or I've been, you know, doing this forever, and I'm very unhappy. So it was never like I was rarely like in terms of.
So you're afraid of making the wrong choice, committing to the wrong thing?
I don't know. But it was just, I think that's when I say like, I'd rather just like be present and have fun and keep evolving my life with a person than to be like forever. Because when I do hear those words, and when I've heard them from people that have been together for a long time, it's always been like, I've been with this person for 40 years. Oh my God, this is horrible. I would never do it again. It's just, you know, there's always like some type of stuff like that, remarks like that. You're just like,
so like,
I was like, I don't know, it always had a bad connotation, because I was like, if you're together forever, is it like, you know, I think because those people don't change, evolve to a certain extent. Who knows? But that's why to me it was always like, I don't know, those words just seemed kind of like bad, because it was always like, I've been together with this person for so long, and you know, you're just like, bro, okay.
Yeah, you get these negative, or you just don't have good examples of what.
Or like even work-wise, like work, you know, like some people are like, I've been working at this job I've been miserable for the whole entire life. I'm so glad I get to retire. And you're like, why didn't you just make a change?
Right. Like, it's like when people,
you know?
So I think what it is like when people take commitment too seriously, and they don't know when something's no longer serving them, and there's like fear around that. Like if I commit to something, will I lose myself? Will I stop seeing when something stops serving me?
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like ultimately, yeah, that's interesting.
So that's like, why, the bad connotation. But it's not that I was afraid of saying, oh, I want to be with you forever. But it was more like,
not with me. I know you want to be with me forever.
But no, it's like sometimes it's like those things where you're like, I want to, and it's just like I don't like. To me, it means stagnancy.
Stagnity.
Is that a word? No, I just made it up.
Stagnity.
Stagnancy.
I don't know, Wait, is that a word?
No, it just means like it's kind of like you're just gonna be comfortable for like you're just you're not gonna.
You're settling. I think in a way you're afraid, am I settling for something if I choose to do this over and over again forever?
Yeah.
And okay, so here's my take on it, or like I feel like my journey. I have never really had a problem with commitment when it came to relationships at all. Like I feel like I've always naturally been the type of person that's like I can easily commit and I can easily be like, this is something that I'm committed to. Like when I'm in a relationship with somebody, it's very much like that's my tunnel vision of like, this is my person, and I focus really much on that and our relationship. So I feel like that hasn't really been that hard for me to be committed. Not to say I've always made the right choices and like always been good on my commitment, but like my feelings towards commitment, I haven't been like afraid to commit to somebody, I guess, or at least my actions don't align with that anyway. But I feel like my relationship with commitment, or my fears around commitment, have been more like personal stuff.
Yeah.
Like committing to personal things for myself, like committing to myself in a way.
Yeah.
Like I could easily commit to somebody else and like do and do and do for somebody else, and then like forget about myself and like and not commit to myself in a way. And that was like my early journey of like learning about that, and why do I do that, and why is it hard to stay committed to things that are important to me. And like, how do I honor myself and commit to myself in a way? Yeah. So I feel like that showed up for me with like work things that really like were in alignment with what I really wanted. I could commit to a job. I was in a freaking job for 10 years, okay? Like I committed to that job, but that's like what you said, like a bad form of commitment, where that was more about comfortability and fear. I was afraid to do the thing that really spoke to my soul. You know what I mean? Like I was afraid to actually do the thing that felt right to me, because okay, I think for me what it was, and I think it is for a lot of people, is the fear of doing the thing that you really want and then failing at it, or realizing something like it's not for you. I feel like that feels like too big of a risk than to just do the thing that like you're trying to convince yourself that you want. You know, it's like this is not great, but it's not bad. You know what I mean? Like it's not great, but it's not bad. So why am I going to change it to risk possibly completely blowing up my whole vision of myself? Like it was that. It's like this not having this belief in myself, or not having belief in like, and that was my journey. And like that was where I realized I had a lack of commitment. So anytime I would start a project in like something that really fulfilled my soul, I feel like there was always something that made me kind of give up too soon. You know, like those roadblocks happen, those challenges happen, and instead of finding ways to move through it, I would just be like, oh, it's not, I would stop, you know? And so I think for me, it was that like relationships have kind of always been easy. Although I will say, when we met, I was very much in this mindset of like, I don't want to be in a relationship. I did kind of have a fear of commitment in that sense, because I was so happy with myself at that point. I was like so happy being single, so happy just like focusing on myself, that I think I was afraid to lose myself again in somebody else. And then therefore I was like, I don't want to be in a relationship. I also was kind of like, I've never had really super great examples of like people in healthy long-term relationships. And so I was just like kind of like in this disbelief that they really existed, like people could really be happy with each other. It was this kind of feeling of like, no, people just get complacent and
for sure.
And they just they're scared of change, and that's why they stay in relationships. It couldn't possibly be that I just have a deep love for somebody and like this is my person and I really want it. Like that was like not within my realm of understanding, because I never had experienced it myself. I had only been with people who I did not connect with on that level. And so I was like, well, connections are only so much, you know? So like only so deep. You know what I mean? Sure. So I was just like, dude, I think people just get complacent, because it's hard to.
That's just how life is. Until someone tells you
No, until you experience it for yourself. So I
Yeah.
feel like when I met you, like I just obviously felt different, you know, like I obviously felt like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
And I think part of the preparedness, the readiness that we had was because we did share some type of commitment with ourselves and
Yeah.
our past endeavors. Um, which is why I'm saying it's always going to bring something to light of something about you that you're like, I didn't know about if I was just kind of half-assing through life, you know?
Yeah.
Like stay committed to something, you know?
Yeah.
And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I think commitment. The best, if you're afraid of commitment, I feel like just start by committing to something small. You know, like I feel like it's because I don't know how deep the problem is. Some people may suffer from like commitment phobia for sure, right? It's like so I don't know how deep
The fears
the
are.
fear of commitment is that you're like I don't know, like I can't do anything. So I just feel like start off with like going to the gym, going on a walk, doing something that you're like exercising every single day that isn't going to be super overwhelming or that's going to affect you to the point where you're going to be like, oh, I'm not going to do this. Like something small. And I feel like life is here to be present and to learn from, and you can do things every single day that you could feel good about. So even if things are small, so just try to do it.
I think it's important to look at it too as like, okay, what's the thing I'm afraid to commit to? A human being, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm afraid of a relationship. Or like, what is the thing, right? Maybe I can't commit to being healthy, or maybe I can't commit to a career, or maybe I can't. Like, I think it's really interesting to look at the thing that you're having a hard time. Can you not commit to anything? Or are you just the type of person that's so like novelty seeking that commitment of any kind is like not within the realm of possibility?
Yeah.
Because then I think you can start to look at the reasons why, like start peeling back the layers as to like, what are the fears there? Because there's always a fear, right? Like if you're like trying to commit to something and you can't, or you want to commit to something and you can't, there's a block, and that block is based on fear.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out what that fear is so that you can meet it head on and learn, how do I move through this fear? How do I understand myself on a deeper level so I can understand that this is holding me back in some type of way.
I think it's always good too to kind of change the perspective and like change it, like instead of saying like I'm afraid of commitment, maybe like sometimes you could even like hack your brain to think like, am I a weak person? Am I this weak? Like sometimes I feel like I do that. I did that a lot growing up. Just being like taking everything else out the picture and just kind of like put it in myself as like the main character, right? You're like, I have no degree, but I want to start a business. I have no idea what I'm doing, but like, can I prove to myself that I could do this? And it was to me, I never thought of it as commitment. I just thought of like just being a dog and going out there and getting what I wanted. And in hindsight, that was commitment because I was doing what I had to do every single day, right? For even in relationships, I feel like it's like, do I want to be this guy? Like putting a kind of like a version of yourself in your mind of like how you want to be perceived and how you perceive yourself, and just hacking your mind to fulfilling that character. Whiskey, they're just babies. Whiskey, she wants to attack everyone. So yeah, I just feel like like I think just change your perspective. I feel like in life, that's the beautiful thing about life too. You can always like change the way you see things that could get you to the place you want to be.
Yeah.
Bad bitch energy.
Yeah.
Like some people get through that life. I mean, we saw a TikTok video.
I'm a baddie.
Yeah.
I'm a certified baddie.
But yeah, afraid of commitment, guys. Let us know if you want to know more about it, or we could talk more in depth. If you guys have any questions, down in the comment section. And now, speaking of commitment, I have this video of this guy. Let me see.
Find a person who's in love with your flaws, who's seen all the ugly parts of you, who's seen you at your lowest, who knows how you behave when you're hurt, annoyed, angry, and lost, who knows what you like under pressure. And if that person still sticks to you for your parents, for everything that you show in public. But who would stick to you for everything real that you're off social media? Think, the person has seen the worst of you and still chooses to be with you. Damn, that's magic. Find a person who's in love with you.
I think that's good, huh? I think that it is really important to think that partnerships in an equal way, and you have to kind of respect both sides of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a good way to like hear a reminder of like I have to respect other people's weaknesses, especially in a relationship, because they're respecting mine as well, unknowingly. You know?
Yeah, and I think the thing is I think the problem lies if you're unable to one, show your weaknesses to your partner, that's a problem. That's a problem I used to have in the past, because it was like, again, I had too much fear around like, if I were to show how I actually feel in this moment, if I were to show my weaknesses, if I were to show the parts of me that aren't perfect, then the person's not going to choose me anymore. And that is devastating, right? Like that, then somehow that means I'm not worthy, that I don't have value. And I didn't have enough at that time in my life. I didn't have enough self-love and self-value to be able to handle that reality.
Yeah.
That someone wouldn't choose me if they saw this thing. So that I wasn't fully myself with people. I think the only way you can be is when you do fully love yourself. I mean, you're always gonna have struggles with that. Nobody's gonna ever figure it out and be 100% good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, like having enough like confidence in yourself to be like, if this person stops choosing me, I still fucking choose me.
Yeah.
You know? Then I think you can find somebody who will accept. And funny enough is once you accept your shit, you will find someone who does love you, just in spite of the not so great parts, you know?
Yeah.
But I think what happens is if you don't accept those parts of yourself, or you have a lot of shame, or you aren't willing to like expose those things or to acknowledge those things, like, and love yourself anyway, I mean, it's a really hard ask to find somebody who will as well. You know what I mean? Like that's, I think about like energy attraction too. And,
yeah.
because this is interesting actually, because so that's one side of it, right? And then the other side is the person who, if you immediately get turned off by somebody when they show something that's real, and you're like, oh, fuck this, I'm gonna leave, right? As soon as this shit gets a little bit difficult, you also have work to do.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, yeah, it could be true that that person's just not right for you, right? Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
100%.
But even the person that you have like the deepest connection with, there's gonna be stuff that comes up.
Yeah, I just feel like you have
know?
to be able to be, you have to be pliable in that sense, where you have to just be able to like accept change from that you're gonna have to make, and accept that you're gonna have to also like verbalize the type of change that you're seeking. Because like both parties have to kind of come together in that sense, and like, you know, talk about the weaknesses and strengths and how they could combine those to make a fulfilling relationship, right? So both sides of the spectrum is
Which one do
true.
you feel like you've struggled with more? Do you struggle accepting people for their imperfections, or do you struggle more with showing your imperfections? Because I feel like there's always like, people usually are one or the other. Like
Yeah.
they struggle more with one side or the other.
Probably showing my imperfections,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I think so. Show my imperfections, but you know, sometimes if I'm not happy with them, I just try to work on them.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I feel like I try to be self-aware in that sense, and just be like, okay, like let's not let the lion out the cage, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like for me, it's always, I can accept people's shit most of the time. Like, I feel like it's really easy for me to like accept people's stuff and also understand it. like especially as you get to know somebody and like know their history and then it's like I feel like I have so much compassion for people, and like I'm like, oh, like I can see it, like I can
Yeah.
see it for you, like why this happens, why this triggers you, why you are this way, like, and I feel compassion for other people. Historically, it's been harder for myself to give myself that same compassion. And that's something that I had to work on. I think the reason that we were able to commit and we were able to work is I think we both did like internal work before we met each other.
Yeah.
And like I said, nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's going to have figured all their shit out. You know, you don't have to be perfect to meet somebody who's perfect for you and to have a healthy relationship. But I think you have to be self-aware enough to know that you are somebody who needs to focus on yourself and work on yourself. And then I think when you have that self-awareness, it makes it easier to find somebody to come into your life and to like do life together, because
that was deep. That was a clip. We'll make that into a clip. So,
no, it is true, right? Like nobody's gonna be perfect. Like,
no, of course.
you know what I mean? Like I think that could be like something that I feel like people misunderstand, especially because I feel like I've said it a lot of times in like advice things. It's like work on yourself first, love yourself first. And that's not to say that you're gonna be perfect before you meet somebody or that you have to be. Like
and
nobody
knowing yourself
is.
first doesn't necessarily mean like you don't have to like in order for you to love yourself, you don't have to be alone either. Like I feel like you could be self-aware enough to like know that you're consistently have to work on yourself. You know, like that's self-love at the end of the day too. It's like, oh, loving myself to know that like I can't show this version of myself to this person because they don't deserve it or they had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I think that's the thing is like, however, if you're the type of person who like historically gets lost in somebody else and they lose themselves along the way because they're so focused on their partner and they don't know how to stand up for themselves in that way yet. I think those type of people do need to be alone first.
Yeah.
Like be alone, you know, for a while and like learn to really love your own company, learn to really love yourself.
You know who's really lost herself in our relationship? Our dog. Now she just does the same thing every day. Doesn't do anything different.
My babe, your little eye, she's so cute. I love you, Mama. Come here.
But no, yeah, you know, I think we gave you guys some good examples today. I feel like I think the takeaway of this video is just like, you know, don't be afraid of commitment for anything and like just exercise commitment
if you
in
really
the smallest
want
form, you know, like in the smallest form, start small, do it. I've had a handful of people who started small that I know who were like, when I met them, they were afraid of commitment, and then all of a sudden they're just kind of like doing the thing that they wanted to slowly, you know, and it's a good evolution.
Yeah, and I think like the self-confidence that you get, that you start to build when you see yourself being able to commit to something is like really invaluable, you know?
Yeah.
Like even when it is something small, like I go on a walk every day. Like if you can commit that to yourself and you're doing that for yourself because it feels good, and even when you don't feel like it, you do it anyway, like there is something in you that goes like.
And at the end of the day, like, you know what's beautiful about that is like, even if you're like doing it for the word commitment, then like maybe a month later, you're gonna be like, I feel in shape, I feel good, I could breathe better, I feel so much better, like I look different, you know, and then you're like, oh, that's cool, and that's like, and then you might like that about yourself of like, oh, I should get in shape, or I should do something that you weren't aware of by doing a thing that you were afraid of. So I feel like that is where the magic is, where it's like that kind of like fulfillment that happens unknowingly, where you're like, oh, dude, okay, now I'm gonna go to the gym now, like. Now this commitment isn't a commitment anymore, it's just a lifestyle. And then you're like, boom, now I'm at the gym and this makes me feel good and this is part of my life now.
Yeah. Do you feel like...
So I feel like that's the beauty of it.
Do you feel like it's ever hard to stay committed now? Like in a relationship?
Right now? No, we have a kid.
What if we didn't?
No, I don't think so. Like, it wouldn't make a difference.
It never like comes.
I mean, when you have a kid, it's different because it's like it brings a different type of emotion, right? It's a different level. Like you can't just be like, oh, you know what this is about. Like you can't do that. Like But
So you're like forced to think of it.
no. You just know you think things clearly. Like it's not as
It helps.
noisy. It's
Yeah.
not as like like oh like because sometimes it could be ego driven, right? So you just be like, oh okay, I'm gonna do this, but then when you don't have a kid, you might be like, okay, like let's talk, let's call. There's not that much, but you don't want to be that type of person, right, for your kid. So I just feel like there's more at stake. I feel like it might be different for everyone else, but
So for you, the commitment became easier once there was like this greater purpose.
well, there was always a greater purpose, right? Because it was for me, like when I met you, it was more of like I was already there, like I already knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I knew that commitment wasn't going to be a thing for me. Like I wasn't like, I still have to work on this. I feel like, yeah, like after meeting you, it's like, it was easy to commit. But then after we had a kid, it was just like, there's a different level. It's a different level. I don't know how to explain it. You're just kind of like, it's not about you anymore. About what you want or what you feel, like to a certain extent,
But you would agree though, if something's not right, you would know that commitment to yourself is better for your child.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, than to just stay with somebody.
Yeah.
I don't feel it's obvious. Yeah, it's not hard for me to stay.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd fucking ask you.
Why? Why not put me in a hot seat?
Just kidding. Yeah, it's not hard for me. But no, I do agree. I mean, like, things deepen, right? Things deepen when you have a child, too. Like, I look at you in a different way. Like, I see you with him, and, like, my love for you deepens because, like, I just see you, like, in this deeper way,
Yeah.
I always cry in
Yeah.
these.
No, yeah.
This stuff will
it's
never
almost like-
not
yeah,
make me emotional because it's like, dude, it's so
Yeah.
crazy, It's so crazy to see. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's almost like the same thing as like for people who don't have kids, it's kind of like it's almost like money. Like when you were like, when you were younger, you could spend X amount of money on like bottle service or something. You're like, whatever, it's fine. I have nothing to like. This is cool. Like whatever, I'll figure it out if I need it. But then when you have like a kid, it's like, nah, because I need to like, you have something more. So I feel like that's the different like elevation where you're like, no, you can't just be doing that shit. Like there's a level of responsibility that's still you still need to be responsible when you don't have kids. But then when you have a kid, it's
there's a greater purpose.
Different.
It's
different.
different. It's
not
like not just about you anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that's the level that I'm talking about. Like not that if we didn't have a kid, it'd be like easy.
Our relationship would be different though, for sure.
Yeah, but I think this is where we're supposed to be for sure. All right, guys. So I appreciate you guys stopping by this week. Please let us know in the comments if you enjoyed this one. Do you guys like this format? Because we're talking about upgrading it. I don't know. I'm at a place of content creation where I feel like sometimes my audience likes something and that I want to change to try to be like the other people around us. But I don't know. You guys let us know if we should get mics, if we should do the whole setup.
Yeah, do you like
I've
it?
kind
like
of worked the audio a
talking?
little bit. I've done some research, so I think I'll fix the audio. No, the last week's video was insane. We're working on structure. We're still, fairly new at the game of this long format content creation. So let us know. And if you guys have any questions, stop by Twice the Mood or by Carlos Roberto, whichever one you want, or leave the comments down below, and then we will get to you guys. We'll get back to you guys for sure. See you guys next week. Thank you guys for subscribing. And if you guys want to shop some fine menswear, stop by reclass.shop because I have a capsule collection with them. So dress well and do well. Dress well and do well, huh?